reminded once again that government-owned companies, such as the airport, such as the harbor, such as TLM, GBE, they are owned by the people of Somalia. They are not owned by individuals in government. They are not owned by the management of those companies. They are not owned by the boards that are placed there to supervise the companies. The companies are owned by the people of Somalia. Of course, the way a regular company would be governed, you can't expect 50,000 people to govern the ownership of their company, and that is why that is entrusted to government as the shareholder representative, and by extension then there is a management that is appointed, and there's a board of supervisory directors who are there to supervise on behalf of government and the people how management at the airport is managing the company, the assets of the people. Parliament, the role of Parliament is oftentimes we hear, well, the Parliament has to make laws. Parliament is there to basically vote on legislation, usually and most of the times presented by government or initiated by government based on their policies and their vision and direction. Parliament is there on behalf of the people to say yes or to say no, or to make changes to policies that government may want to introduce or may want to amend. And in the case of Parliament's role vis-a-vis government-owned companies, Parliament is called upon if there is anything out of the ordinary taking place, or if there is, in this case, there's a whole lot of talk on talk shows. There is the incidents of documents being leaked, documents being posted online, documents being talked about. It is not good for the company. It is not good for individuals in the company. It is not good for management of the company. It is not good, therefore, for the people of St. Martin, for the government of St. Martin, for one to be hearing things about a government-owned company, and there is no disclosure on behalf of the company, in this case, through the shareholder representative. Madam Chair, to make it clear also, someone just, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, asked why is it that Parliament invited the board of the airport to attend this meeting. Madam Chair, let it be known that the faction requesting this meeting did not request, but we are not saying they are not welcome, but we requested the shareholder representative, which is the Minister of Economic Affairs and Tourism, the Honorable Minister Ted Richardson, to be present in the meeting to answer to Parliament. The board doesn't have to answer to Parliament, the management doesn't have to answer to Parliament, but the minister, when questioned about developments in the government-owned company, would have to provide clarity and or answers. Now, if the minister seeks clarification, information, answers via whether it's the board or the management or via his staff, that's the good right of the minister, but the responsibility of Parliament in this case is to call the minister to Parliament and to ask the minister, and probably the minister was unaware of certain things, but when the questions are posed to the minister, then it's the responsibility of the minister to report back to Parliament. Plain and simple, that is how it goes. Madam Chair, to have reactions that all meetings are only being called because they're locals managing companies or they're locals who are in charge, Madam Chair, that is absolutely not relevant. It has absolutely nothing to do with this case. I don't know of any other case, but definitely not with this case, because it would then mean that we cannot question developments at the airport. We cannot question developments at GBE. We can't question developments at the harbor because they're all managed by locals. The Board of Supervisory Directors are locals. So therefore, as members of Parliament, we then should say, hands off, leave it alone, because if you dare question anything at the harbor, the airport, GBE, or any other government-owned company, then you are questioning local people, and that is wrong. Madam Chair, if we want to grow up as the young country we often say we are, and we want to live under the rule of democracy, if we want to live by transparency and good governance, these exercises are healthy. And at the end of the day, if there is nothing going on, if there is nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that should have been questioned, then we move on with our lives, we move on with our responsibilities and our roles as they develop. So, Madam Chair, the number of issues I said I wanted to address, and one of them has to do with the staffing at the airport. I think it's good for the public to know, for instance, how many people are employed by the airports. In terms of employment, and again, these are rumors that one hears, people post things, people write things, people call, employees call and say, this is a development taking place. So the question is, are there any plans to downsize any department or any service at the airport? And if yes, which department or which service? And if yes, why? Are any plans to outsource any service or department at the airport? If yes, which of these services or which of these departments? Madam Chair, we specifically asked this because over the past couple of weeks, there was a persistent rumor that the airport is intended to outsource the security and the VIP, the VIP room that provide VIP services. So, Madam Chair, if this is not so, then it is not so. And then the people who work in these departments, they would then hear it from the proverbial horse's mouth, and they can continue with their lives. Madam Chair, when we look at the security at the airport, we look, as some members of Parliament not too long ago said, you see people that look like us. And we see local people that work there at the security. If it is the intention to outsource it, then it would basically mean those people, local people, some of whom have worked at the airport for over 25 years, would be told, thanks, but we are downsizing or we are right-sizing, we are changing structures, we are putting new things in place, and we see local people then being replaced by others. I don't think it is so. And if it is not so, then the minister says there are absolutely no plans and we move on. Madam Chair, in this light, the morale of employees at the airport is seemingly at a very low level. And the question is, is the minister aware of this, or does the minister share that opinion as well? And if the minister believes so or has heard so, like we did, what would be the reason thereof? Madam Chair, we also heard that employees were told that there is a freeze on salaries. There will be no more salary increases. And if this is the case, if this is so, as of when, and basically, what is the reason for this development taking place? Is there any freeze or removal of benefits from employees at the airport? Several employees approached us and said that based on their contract or their CLA. I'm not too sure anymore which one it is, but based on obligations of the airport, employees are entitled to the so-called 13th month. So you get, I think at the end of the year or at the start of the year, you get an extra month's salary. 12 months, you get 13 months. Employees usually have been told that that will no longer be the case, that that 13th month will be taken away. Madam Chair, if this is the case, we would like to know if that is going into effect. Is it something going into effect end of this year? And is it a one-time intention, or is it something that would be removed on a structural basis, so no more 13 months for employees? Madam Chair, we also understood that some time ago, the airport established a new department that never existed before, a department of special projects. Madam Chair, we want to know from the Minister if there is such a department of special projects. When was this department established and for what purpose? Was it established to carry out 1, 2, 3, 4 projects? Is it established for a period of a year, for a period of 4 years, 5 years, or has it now become a part of the airport structure of its organization? So you have the marketing department, you have the legal affairs, you have the finance department, and you now have, besides security and what have you, you then have a special projects department. Is it a department that becomes a permanent part of the airport organization? Madam Chair, since this department has been established, we would like to know how many projects have been carried out and which these projects are and the cost of the projects. Project A, was this, the cost of it was 200,000. Project B, was this, the cost of it was 3,000. Project B, Project C, Project D. Also, Madam Chair, we would like to know if the projects carried out by the special projects department, if those projects go on bid, if it is a public bidding that takes place, announced via the newspapers, the airport is asking companies or contractors or whoever is it bidding by invitation?